TIL, that match day for medical residents, exists in which a single organization chooses all medical residencies in a single day. This organization serves to keep the number of residencies low, causing the infamous 8,100-hour resident work week, and Congress passed laws to keep this practice legal. Every industry needs to be overhauled and have all of the harmful traditions purged. Running doctors and nurses to death because of some flawed model designed by a literal cokehead is insane. Paying actors scraps for supporting roles while dangling the carrot of one day you might be a star and make millions while the executives hoard billions is insane. CEOs taking 20 weeks of vacation on their super yachts while their employees work second jobs just to keep from starving is insane. The insanity has to end. The elite can only decide how ugly they want the ending to be. These are two very unrelated facts. As a doctor who matched, the match day process is not the culprit for long hours. People really like the match process actually. If there aren't enough med students to become residents, it doesn't matter how many spots there are. There are more residency spots than medical students applying for residency, and many spots go unfilled each year. This story just makes no sense to me. It's like people put puzzle pieces together without talking to anyone involved. The limitations on residency slots is more complex. While the IGN does approve slots, they have taken the position that any hospital which demonstrates it meets the requirements of the specific specialty, can have slots. One of the biggest limits on slots is the federal government. Residency slots are funded by the feds and those slots have been fixed for decades with some caveats. Many hospitals have taken the position that self-funding residency positions is too expensive. Yeah, this is not an accurate statement. The number of residencies positions have little to do with the NRMP match. It's more about CMS funding for residencies. It also doesn't cause the 80-hour work week. Also, there is no regulation which exists that says a residency has to use the match. Option look up the system which existed prior to the NRMP. It was worse. This has nothing to do with the low number of residents whatsoever. The thing that keeps residencies low is a barely changed number of Medicare-funded residents. In the US, hospitals get a payout for X number of residents every year from Medicare. Hospitals rarely hire more residents than the Medicare allotment. Medicare has barely increased this number over the past 20 years. Something that often goes ignored is that it's an absolute shitshow for all the supporting staff when residents hit the floor. Talk to any nurse about the month that residents start and how incredibly difficult their routine job becomes because they end up having to scrutinize every order that goes through because residents don't know WD if they're doing LOL. A study showed that doctor turnover times are the periods where most mistakes are made. It's more accurate and safer to have a sleepy doctor, than for doctors to switch out every 8 hours, not a resident but a PA who does 48 hours first call shifts covering 3 different hospitals, as well as all routine consults and rounding. There have been nights in the ER that I've gone in to do reductions in the ER and have literally been hallucinating due to lack of sleep. Not sustainable and residencies need to change. Match day is the craziest thing I've ever seen and would illegal and antitrust violations in any other industry. You get one offer if you match, that is and that's it. Take it or leave it. After all that school and work, the student can't negotiate their own employment in the open market like everybody else. I don't know about you all, but I would prefer my doctor to be well rested. We know, definitively, that sleep deprivation is not only extremely unhealthy, but can lead even the brightest of brains to make the simplest of mistakes. In matters of health and welfare, this seems to be an extremely important factor. I just finished my first month of residency and it was the most difficult period of my life. Working 6 a.m. to 7-8 p.m., patients dying, the electronic system for medications orders is the least intuitive piece of software I've ever used. Forgetting to drink water, having to defend eating lunch. Oddly, ophthalmology and urology are not included in the match and have their own match days several months before the general match. As these specialties are so competitive, to get into it allows those that don't get in to have some time to join the general match. The long hours have nothing to do with residency slots being limited. They are an attempt to have residents see as many cases as they can in their few years. Their misguided sense of tradition belief that trial by fire makes people resilient. It needs to be understood doctors lobby to keep hours high and positions low. Why? Money. If we had twice as many doctors, working half as many hours, we'd have a lot less cardiologists buying lake houses. Medical school is more or less a scam for rich kids who have the time and money for medical school. Hospitals take advantage of you, and it seems like a lot of students simply don't want to rock the boat. Can we downvote this post to hell? It's a completely inaccurate representation of match day and it has nothing to do with number of residencies being kept low. The dumbest, most dangerous shit I've ever heard in my life. Sounds like some fucking dumb shit treating residents like Navy SEALs for no reason whatsoever. And that crazy workweek was established by a doctor who took copious amounts of cocaine 7 days a week, then expected everyone else to keep up with him. Sometimes I wish I had studied medicine to become a doctor. And then I read stuff like this and decide that medical students act insane. The guys who came up with this won a Nobel Prize for it. It's also a cost issue. Residents' salaries are paid by Medicare. The government could fix this issue by increasing funding. Residency is easy, just fucking do cocaine as the founder intended. Not only that, but some tried to take them to court, and the organization used their political connections to shut it down. I went to my sister's match ceremony. The energy in that room was electric and intoxicating. You could feel the anxiety. To this day I can't hear about the Taylor Swift tour and not think about the match process eras. This headline is all kinds of the wrong. If you don't understand something, keep your mouth shut. But it keeps healthcare providers very profitable. What could be more important than that? And it is harmful to the residents and their families. It is a form of official hazing. The residence program is proof to me that doctors tend to be more stubborn than smart. Yup. The healthcare industry is a total mess in every corner you decide to look. To clarify, it's not match day that is keeping the number of residencies low. Congress. Rolling back 120-year-old antitrust protections, one day at a time. The match tradition is not responsible for any of the items you mention. Why? Why do we subject those who are becoming our healers this way? Is this only in America? Do they not have this craziness elsewhere?